Hi folks, John Mark here with Catalyst Connect. Next step in our video series here is going to be jumping into the CRM to take a look at the lead qualification process. So as you recall in the previous video, we dove into Zoho Sales IQ with the online visitor tracking and chat. Now we're going to go over here into the CRM and see what happens when a new lead is pushed over from Sales IQ into the CRM. So within the CRM, we have the main navigation across the top here, and we can dive into the leads module to take a look at some new leads. I went ahead and we have another test over here that has quite a few visits. So I'm going to be able to scroll through our list of leads over here. We can take a look at new leads today, customize these views to show leads that are assigned to you as an individual using Zoho's lead assignment rules, which we'll dive into in a sec. But first, let's go ahead into this MG test and take a look at that Zoho Sales IQ data that was pushed over to the CRM from that visitor chat. So here we are on the lead record, and this is where you're going to see all of the details of a particular lead. Now, a lead is typically a person who's a representative of an organization if you are a business-to-business organization. So the lead record itself will have information about both a person as well as the organization. Typically, you would also identify the area of interest, the products or services that that lead is interested in. Once qualified, we're going to then convert this lead into a contact for the personal information, the account for the organization that they belong to, and then a deal, which is the business opportunity that we have with that person or organization. So right down here is all of the lead details. And if you look down at this bottom section, this is where we're going to find that Zoho Sales IQ visitor data. This is a great summary over here. We can see when this person first visited the site. If it was direct traffic, this referrer is going to be blank. If they were referred by an outside website, it'll bring in that referring site over here as well. We can see that this person last visited over here on December 7th, and they have a visitor score of 373. Again, going back to some of those lead scoring rules, those can be configured in Sales IQ based on certain actions. And we can see that this person has actually spent a total of 50 minutes on the site. All good, strong indicators. Now, if we want to dive into the detail and actually see what pages they visited and specifically where they spent that 50 minutes, over here on the left-hand side is an area called your related lists. This is where you're going to see other data that is related to this particular lead. So, of course, here we have a few visits, and if we went to our first visit on November 30th, we can actually see that this particular person navigated to 5 different pages. These are the specific pages and how much time they spent on each page. So a great way to see what they were initially interested in, and perhaps you can see the progression of their most recent visit, where they ended up, and this can help your sales reps better enrich that lead, qualify it appropriate, get it through to the right department. So speaking of that qualification and lead assignment, what we set up for our clients in an initial baseline setup is when leads come in from chat, we can assign them through to a general manager or a sales manager to qualify and manually assign to a particular rep. We can also automatically route leads based on your unique rules. So within the CRM here, we have what are called lead assignment rules. So if you head to settings under automation, we can click on assignment rules. And this is a great way to automate the assignment of particular leads to a particular person, group of individuals, or department. So it's a fairly easy WYSIWYG editor where you can say that when a lead is created, if it matches certain conditions, perhaps it's a geographic area, maybe it's a particular site that they came in off of, or a lead score, we can then route it to an individual or a whole role or a group of individuals and go in a round robin fashion. We can then also send them a follow-up task. So that's going to be a typical flow if they're coming in off of Sales IQ. Now, if they are submitting a web form, the process is going to be slightly different. And the reason for that is when we bring in someone that has filled out a web form, not only will we be creating a lead record, but as part of our best practice setups, we actually create what's called a submission record. Now, the submission record, form submissions over here, is allowing us to capture and retain the very specific web form that a lead filled out. This is a great way to go a little bit deeper into your marketing and analytics around form conversions, because it's quite typical that your sales cycle may involve multiple form submissions. Perhaps it's an initial contact us form the first time. During the qualification process, while they're still a lead, they may download a case study or go and attend a webinar. Each of those form submissions can really help you better qualify and position that lead to a particular department or sales rep. So instead of creating duplicate leads for each submission, what we do is we simply capture each form submission and attach it to that existing lead. And that's going to allow us to have those form submissions for reporting purposes. When we ultimately convert the lead, those form submissions follow along to the contact account and deal so that we can understand who filled out what forms when and what specific case study, webinar, or white paper may have actually resulted in a conversion. So let's go ahead and fill out a web form, and we'll follow along with that process. Okay, so here we are on Zoho Forms. This is Zoho's form builder. Now, as you can see, this is a very simplistic form that we have here, and this form can be customized, and we do this as part of our baseline setups with our clients to really fit and match the styling of your site. So if we go over here to our demo site, go over to the Contact Us section, we can see that, let me refresh to bring up a new form. We can integrate the CSS to really match your site. So let's go ahead and take a look at that. Okay, so I just refreshed the page to bring up the form again, and as you can see, we have stylized it to fit well with the site. So Zoho Forms can be augmented to be integrated to your site, or you can actually leverage fully custom forms if you want to get a little bit more advanced. Now, with this basic example, we'll go ahead and submit our test lead here for John Smith at ABC Corp. Okay, so once we have submitted that lead, this is actually going to do a couple things now. As I mentioned, it's going to create the lead in the CRM, and it's also going to create that form submission record. Now, we can actually get more advanced and integrate some URL parameters directly into hidden fields in this form. So if you're an organization that uses Google AdWords, you can actually integrate the GCLID or tracking code so that you can get accurate ROI on your marketing campaigns. We can do things like track our referring URLs or lead sources. So we can bring all of that data into the CRM directly from a form submission. So let's head back over here to the CRM. I'm going to go back to the leads module. And here you can see I pulled up a view of today's leads. So instead of seeing that cluttered view of all of our leads, we can just refine it to today's leads. Here is our new submission, John Smith. And we can see that it has immediately entered our lead qualification blueprint. This is going to really guide us along in what it's going to take to qualify this particular lead. Remembering that this lead will automatically be assigned to the right rep or department based on those lead assignment rules, We can then, you can see here, get prompted to gather details. It's going to give us some instructions to check some various organization details. We'll then be able to establish contact with this lead or mark that it was no answer and reattempt. If we need to get a little bit more details on what form specifically they filled out, here we can see that we have this form submission record, and this is going to give us some details about that specific form. So we can see here that the form that John filled out was this lead form example. We can see it's related to this lead. When we convert that lead, this form submission will follow along to his contact record. We can also capture details about that form submission, and if you get into more advanced configurations, you can integrate Zoho Sign for accepting terms and conditions, and you can actually attach that signed document to the form submission record here in the CRM. So just following along with this lead qualification process, Zoho has some great productivity tools that will allow you to take notes directly on this lead. So he likes flying. This note will carry along to his contact record. We can do things like attach documents, perhaps an RFQ gets attached here, or other documents that may be relevant to your engagement with John Smith. We can also tag various products or services that he may be interested in. We can schedule tasks to assign to ourselves or various team members, schedule meetings, as well as schedule or log our calls. Now, there's pretty much an app for everything in Zoho. So you have Zoho Meetings that you can actually launch a meeting with John Smith, much like a web conference. We can also integrate various phone systems into the CRM or leverage Zoho's native phone system as well. The advantage with that is that anytime you pull up a lead or contact record, you can actually just click to call directly out of the system, and it will automatically log and record that call if you would like. And that can really help with some of your lead qualification pipelines. You can create some call queue lists with a priority queue and secondary queue to really help your agents be more efficient in the system. So just touching on some of the related list items here, as you complete activities, they'll be moved to the closed activity tabs. We help give you instructions on how you can integrate your email to the CRM. So that way all of your colleagues' emails will get logged in the CRM if they choose, and that can help the team stay up to date with who's communicating with various prospects. We can automatically push leads into certain email campaigns, and we'll dive into that in our next video here as we look to further nurture a lead and do some email drip marketing. We can attach their social campaigns. I've shown you how we can track their visitor history. We can send them follow-up surveys, track documents through WorkDrive, and then if we get support tickets, we can see those here in the CRM as well. So that really rounds out some of our core lead qualification processes as part of our best practice setup. Just a quick recap here. What we do is we integrate Sales IQ with the CRM to bring through the visitor history. We will integrate a lead form with your website. When those form submissions come through, we'll go ahead and create a lead as well as a form submission record. We'll enter that lead into an assignment rule that will assign it to the appropriate rep or department. It will then go through to a blueprint where we'll go through a qualification process with this lead, and then we're going to actually push this lead into Zoho campaigns so that we can do some email drip marketing, and we'll dive into that in a subsequent video and then go through our actual conversion process where we'll be converting this lead into a contact account and deal and enter into the sales cycle. Thanks a lot, and we'll see you on the next video. Cheers.